Amanat Netawan Alan Salazar, Pasekva Nukasin. Hello, I'm Alan Salazar. I'm from the village of Pasekva, what we now call San Fernando, California. I'm going to share a story with you today. It's one of my original stories, a Tataviam story. And I get my Tataviam and Chumash ancestry from my father's side of the family. So my father, Alan Salazar, was a Marine, fought in World War II, Saipan and Okinawa. This is my pop when later on in life. He lived a good long life, was a hard-working man, worked in construction, was a journeyman plasterer, and lived until the age 78. My grandmother, Vera Ortega Salazar, was an important part of my upbringing, and a lot of what I know about my tribal ancestry is from my grandmother. So this is my grandmother and grandfather. But one of the most important members in my family is this gentleman right here in the upper right, your left on the camera. This is Antonio Maria Ortega. He was born in 1849. Some records say in the 1850s, but we believe it was 1849. So my great-grandfather, Antonio, was born at a time when there were bounties on California Indians, which means the California citizen could have killed my great-grandfather, and they wouldn't have been sent to jail or to prison. They would have been paid a bounty. So there was a bounty system that was established by our first governor in California in 1849, and it went until 1873. So when my great-grandfather was a young man, they were going around trying to exterminate all California Indians, and they became that close. The population of native peoples throughout all of California dropped from 140,000 to, they believe, less than 20,000. Less than 5% of California tribal people, indigenous peoples, survived the bounty and genocide, one of the worst genocides in California history. So I feel lucky and blessed to have ancestors that were strong, hard-working people, very intelligent, very knowledgeable, so that just made them more valuable alive than dead. We think that's what probably helped save my great-grandfather and his parents, my great-great-grandparents. My father's side of the family were brought to the San Fernando Mission starting in 1799, and we traced back to several villages. The two villages that we know the most about is the village of Tuapu. Tuapu is in modern-day Simi Valley. It's a Bentereño Chumash village. And then we trace back to a village in the Santa Clarita Valley. Actually, Magic Mountain is built over the village of Chagoyanga, and that's a Tataviam village. So I am a member of the Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians. We are a fairly non-recognized tribe. I'm on the Council of Elders. And I've been a storyteller probably almost all of my life. It's just something as a young boy that I enjoyed. I enjoyed my pop sharing his stories, whether they be family stories or stories of when he would occasionally share about World War II and some of the battles that he was in, but he didn't like doing that. And then also there was an elderly lady that lived down the street from us. When I was a young boy, we moved to Hanford, California, and there were two widow ladies. And when I was a young boy, 4, 5, 6 years old, I would go to their house and stay there for hours and listen to Mrs. Harper and Mrs. Taylor tell stories. So storytelling is something that has been ingrained and part of my life, part of my culture, all my life, and part of my culture for thousands and thousands of years. Storytelling is the way that tribal people, and when I say tribal people, I mean tribal people all around the world. So it's not just the tribes from California, not just the Tataviam or the Chumash, my tribes, or also we believe we have some Tonga Gabrielino. There's some distant relatives in there that came from the Sonora area that were Mexican and Yaqui. So I come from a tribal background. But on my mom's side, my mom was Portuguese and English. And I remind people that have like ancestry that I have from my mom's side, that European ancestry, that your people were tribal people too. It was maybe 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. but we all come from tribal cultures, and storytelling is a very important part of all tribal cultures. So let me get to the story. I've been rambling on way too long. I'm extremely proud today to show you and share with you the story of Tata the Tataviam Towhee. It's a story based in the way the Tataviam people would tell their stories. Unlike the Chumash, where a lot of their culture was saved, anthropologists, historians, the early settlers wrote down and recorded a lot of the Chumash stories. The Tataviam, most of our stories are gone and lost. So I studied my tribe, how they lived, how they survived, what was their cultural beliefs. And I wrote this story about a towhee bird. A towhee is a small bird. It's a little bit bigger than a sparrow, a little bit smaller than a robin. They hop and run and stay mostly in the brush, and they very rarely fly very high. They survive on seeds and bugs, it's a bird that I became fascinated with while I was working at the Santa Susana Field Lab. And I'd work in areas like this as they were taking soil samples to see if there was contamination. And I'd watch these little birds hop around, and they're just very fascinating to me. This small little bird who has a little bit of an attitude. I think that's why I liked him. And our book, Tata the Tataviam Towhee, was illustrated by Mona Lewis. She's my girlfriend. She's very beautiful. And she's a wonderful artist. And all the drawings in this book that I'm going to share with you right now were made from natural pigments, natural stone, rock, ochres that I collected in the Tataviam territory. And Mona very gently and with much pride and work pounded these rocks into a powder and made all the paints for all the colors of Tata the Tataviam Towhee. Once there was a young towhee bird. Now I say Tataviam Towhee, he is actually a California towhee, but Tata was born near the village of Jigoyanga in the Santa Clarita Valley, so hence he's a Tataviam Towhee. Like many young birds, their parents teach them how to survive, and Tata's parents taught him how to hop from chaparral brush to chaparral brush, how to find the best seeds and to catch the juiciest bugs, and how to fly. And his parents told him, never fly too high. Now Tata, when he was about 5 weeks old, which would have made him a teenager, asked his parents, why should I not fly too high? And his pop said, because there are killer birds that will catch you and eat you, and they're very strong and very fast. There's killer hawks, falcons, and eagles. Now Tata, being a teenager, didn't believe his parents. He thought maybe they were just trying to scare him, that there really weren't these killer hawks, eagles, and falcons, and he wanted to see them for himself. So one day, like Tata's brothers and sisters and his mom and dad were eating bugs and looking for seeds, Tata flew to the top of a brush, and he looked to the left and he looked to the right, and he didn't see any killer hawks, falcons, or eagles. Then he flew to the top of an elderberry tree, about 20 feet high, maybe 25 feet high. And once again, he looked to the left and he looked to the right. He didn't see any killer birds. So then Tata flew to the top of the grandfather oak tree, the biggest tree from where Tata and his family lived, over 60 feet tall, and he flew to the very top of that oak tree. And once again, he looked to the left and he looked to the right. He didn't see any killer birds. And just about then, his friend Juan, the sparrow, flew up to the top of the tree. And Juan, the sparrow, asked his friend Tata, what are you doing way up here in the top of the grandfather oak tree? And Tata told his friend about the killer hawks, falcons and eagles. And he said he looked all over to the left and the right, and they didn't see any killer hawks, falcons, or eagles that his parents had told him about. And his friend Juan said, my parents told me the same thing. And just then, Juan told his friend, look up, my friend. And Tata looked up, and way above him was a giant red-tailed hawk just circling above Tata and Juan. Just about then, as Tata saw that hawk, the hawk tucked his wings and dove down towards the two little birds. They were very scared and they hopped into the center of the tree for protection. But the hawk wasn't diving after the two little birds. He was after a rattlesnake. And he flew down to the ground and snatched this rattlesnake with his powerful talons and killed it and flew off. And Tata said, Juan, did you see that hawk? He caught a rattlesnake. A rattlesnake. Did you see that? Juan said, yes, maybe our parents were telling us the truth. And Tata said, yeah, maybe we should listen to them even more closely than what we do. And the two little birds looked at each other, and then they started laughing and laughing and laughing. Now Tata and Juan both did listen to their parents a little bit more closely. But like most teenagers, they still continue to act like they didn't listen to them, because even a towhee can roll, that's the best I can do on rolling, can roll their eyes. And that's the story of Tata the Tataviam Towhee. I hope you enjoyed that story. Kiwanan, which is in the Chumash language, goodbye, or Kiwanan literally translates to when I see you again. Kiwanan.